Hello. First of all, how cool does that look? I'm proud of that wall. So I'm drawing my wall of eyes today, like always. Boop, 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 boop. Last week I only got through like 2 in one video, but to be fair, the video was only like 30 minutes. I have no idea how long this one will be because it felt like it feels like I have a lot to say, but sometimes I talk really fast. So I'm going to start with this eye. Can you see? Can you see the eyes? And I'm talking about, if you follow me on Instagram, which you must if you're watching this, then you know that I'm talking about Tokyo Drift today, a classic. It's on my mind because Fast 9 or whatever it's called just came out. Kind of sad that they've just kind of really given up on coming up with fun titles for those, like different combinations of Fast and Furious. Like, I guess it's just Fast 9. But anyway, so I was thinking about that franchise because I love it, and Tokyo Drift has always been what I consider the absolute worst one. I'm pretty sure everyone shares that opinion. It's just weird. Like, Vin Diesel isn't in it until the very end. Like, no one's really in it. It's like they didn't really know what they were going to do yet. Like, I don't think they knew that there were going to end up being like 9 of these movies. So they were like, let's just put one in Tokyo. And so I was watching it, and I hadn't watched it in years, and I was like, this is perfect for rooting for the villain because the villain didn't even do anything wrong. And also, like, I mean, Fast and Furious is funny because you're kind of supposed to root for the villain usually. Like, the bad guys are the cops and the good guys are the lovable, family-oriented criminals. Like, I don't... It's like you don't even question it. You're just like, yeah, I'm rooting for this guy. He's complicated. His sister's cute. His friends are quirky. And they love each other. Like, hell yeah, I'm rooting for them. So Tokyo Drift is like different from that because, I mean, obviously our lovable criminal family who drinks Corona and prays, like, they're not in the movie. It's following this, 37-year-old high school sophomore and his path of delinquency. And there's really no law enforcement. The antagonist is someone with mafia ties. But he, like, I mean, I'll go more into it. That's the whole point of this video. He really doesn't do anything. And the hero, like I said, like 48-year-old high school sophomore, he doesn't really do anything that makes him likable either. So you meet him, and he's like, I mean, the first thing you think is, that's a receding hairline. And then you think, wait, why is he in school? And they never really answer that question. Like, I don't know why they decided that this crispy, sunburnt, I just don't, like, he had wrinkles, but they cast him, I think, for his southern twang, but surely there was like an 8, whatever. So that's my first thought every time I watch the movie. But then your second thought is like, okay, this guy's kind of like trash. So he's getting hit on by the jock's girlfriend, and the jock is like, me, and then they're about to get in an altercation, and the girl's like, well, hold on, because he literally, like, has a wrench that he's gonna beat the jock with, which I think seems uncalled for. Like, how did we go from an exchange of wit to, like, ready to fight? But that's where it went. Oh, you know what? They did break his window, so that's not his fault. But so then the girl's like, well, why don't we race? And he's like, okay. Like, couldn't he have just been like, no, I don't want to. No. Or he even could have, like, he was driving away when they threw the rock that broke his window. He could have just kept driving. I don't know, though. I don't live that kind of life. So they agree to race, and, he's crashing into model homes. He's breaking things, breaking the law, whatever. And at that point, you do kind of feel bad for him because the girl is obviously like the one who sucks because she's like egging her boyfriend on, the jock guy. She's like just being toxic. And so you're feeling kind of sorry for him when the cop is like, listen, kiddo, you're going to jail. You're too poor. Like, the jock and his girlfriend are rich. They're not going to get any problems. Like, you've got priors. You've got a southern accent. Like, it's over for you. And then his mom comes in and she's like, okay, let's figure this out. She flirts a little bit. And then she comes out and he doesn't even like thank her. He's just like, so where are we moving next? Entitled. Like, you just got here. And you find out like they just are constantly moving because he's constantly getting into trouble. And you kind of think like, oh, there's going to be some reason that he's dealing with trauma or like has abandonment issues. Like, no. There's none of that. He's just like a bad kid, and he expects his mom to just either fix it or leave every time he breaks the law. And then he has the nerve to be upset when she's like, look, I'm done. Like, this, you're going to go live with your dad. So he goes to live with his dad in Japan. His dad's like in the army or something. And he's all annoyed at his dad, like, and I'm like, your dad didn't have to take you in. He has like a 0-bedroom apartment in Japan. Like, I thought it was pretty nice of him on such short notice. So he's not appreciative at all. He's like shocked and indignant when his dad is like, there's rules when you live here. Like, oh my God. So he's just like super entitled right from the start. I hate him. And then Lil Bow Wow, who's randomly in this movie, like, tries to make friends with him. Lil Bow Wow's like, you speak English, I speak English. Like, we're the only ones here who speak English. Like, let's be friends. I'll sell you this, whatever. And he's like, listen, no offense, but I'm not even going to know your name. Because he's so sure that he's just going to, like, leave before anything can happen. Like, you know, he's like, oh, I'm not like other guys. Like, I just move all the time. Rude. Like, this guy's trying to be your friend. You're rude. And, you know, the plot progresses. He sees a pretty girl. She's supposed to be Japanese with a mom who lived in Australia for like 6 minutes. So somehow she has an Australian accent. I don't know. I didn't know accents were passed on through generations. When like my parents are Jamaican. I don't have a Jamaican accent. You know why? Because I didn't grow up there. But apparently Australian accents don't work that way in Japan. So she's got this accent, and he's like, oh my God, what are you? Like, where do you come from? Like, that is not how you talk to people. And then her boyfriend sees them talking. I don't know how I ended up giving you like a literal play-by-play, but I'm really trying to build for you like how unlikable this hero guy is. And I'm talking with my hands. Her boyfriend comes up and he's like, oh my God, white guy, like, get out of here. You suck. You're ugly. You're dumb. I hate you. And, you know, he's kind of mean about it, but it's fine. And Lil Bow Wow is like, oh, you know what? Yeah, we are leaving. And he whispers, he's like, oh my God, like, that guy's in the Yakuza. Super dangerous. Like, don't even mess with him. Like, just like, you know, we're so lucky we didn't just get murdered. And does he listen to that? No. He puts everyone at risk, and he backtalks this guy, DK, and he's like, blah, 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 blah. And I feel like the blatant disregard for Bow Wow, who's trying to help him out. Like, he's been seen with Lil Bow Wow, so now Lil Bow Wow is extra conspicuous, and everyone, like, there could be a hit out on him for all this guy knows, but he's just like, I can talk to whoever I want, or whatever he says. And then he challenges this mafia prince guy, whatever, to a race, even though he has no car. And he gets one anyway, and then he doesn't, like, everyone's trying to warn him, like, no, you don't even know. Like, Australian girl is like, you don't want to rice him. This isn't your scene. And Bow Wow's like, don't do it. And he's like, no, I'm going to do it because I'm from Texas or wherever he's from. And then he realizes, like, he has no idea how to drift. He didn't even know what that was. And does he, like, do the sensible thing and say, like, you know what? I don't know how to drive like that. There's no way I can win. I'm just going to take this L and, you know, maybe I'll learn how to do this and I'll come back later. Starting on the next eye. Boo, boo, boo. So does he do that sensible thing? No, of course not. Instead, he's like, oh, just give me like a 30-second crash course on what to do and I'll just somehow win. Like, the audacity of this boy. Like, he really thought he could just sit down and be better than the drift king at drifting. So obviously he loses, not just loses, but he destroys the car, which also is like, dude, you just totally ruined someone's car for what? I'm tired of it. I'm tired of these idiots, these people who don't think ahead. Like, I cannot endorse it. I feel like I made these eyelashes really low. You can't quite see it, but they're looking low. So yeah. So he's indebted to Hans, lucky for him, because he could have been indebted to someone who kills people. Whatever. And, you know, that's just day one in Japan. He's already tried to hit on someone's girlfriend, ruined someone's cars, been rude to someone who tried to be friends to him, and disrespected his dad for no reason. So then he, sorry, I just had to check my phone for a second. So then he somehow ends up just like being in a cool situation with everyone. He's making friends, he's having montages or whatever. And he, again, tries to hit on this Australian girl who, like, for the life of me, I cannot remember her name. And he's, like, really presumptive. He's like, oh, let me guess, you, like... And then he just makes some stereotypical assumption about, like, what her life was like. And she's like, no, you're so wrong. Like, that's not me at all. That's really embarrassing. And then he's just left there being embarrassed. He gives this fake-ass apology, and then to try to, like, prove himself and be like, oh my god, don't worry, I'm the white savior. He sees Bow Wow's getting beat up about selling, like, a bad iPod or something, and everyone is like, leave it alone. Like, Bow Wow's, like, taking it. He's just like, this is my business. Sometimes I get beat up because he has, like, this hustle or whatever, and he just has to step in and give the guy another iPod, and Bow Wow's like, why did you do that? Like, mind your business. Like, it's so rude. And he only did it so that he would look good in front of that Australian girl. Like, he's just the worst. And then when he's learning how to drift, he has no concern for, like, anyone's resources. He's just burning through tires like there's no tomorrow. Like, tires are expensive. Tires are like $400, and he's just like, I'm gonna grab another set. Like, those aren't yours. You don't even have a job. He, like, runs away from home for no reason. Like, his dad is so nice. His dad was like, hey, just, like, come home after school. And he's like, no, I can't do that. That's so unreasonable. And he goes to live with Hans in his, like, criminal lair or whatever. I don't even get, like, if he keeps going to school or not. But that's also annoying. Like, why not just go to school? It's literally done at, like, 2 or something. Like, you can't just go to school and be a criminal after. Like, get your free education and then go drift. I don't know. So And so I've told you all about like how annoying this guy is. Where's the villain, you ask? He literally like minds his business the whole movie. It's DK, and all he does is have a strong jaw, be good at drifting, and be dating the girl that this white guy likes. That's it. And yeah, he gets mad at the main character for like hitting on his girlfriend and disrespecting him, but wouldn't we all get mad if some random like dude who we've never heard of started hitting on our girlfriends and acting like they're better at the thing that we devoted our like lives to? Like, imagine if my girlfriend, like, imagine if I had a girlfriend right here and someone just walked in and was like flirting on her, and then was like, oh, you draw? I can draw better than you. I'm better at drawing than you. And then like drew a stick figure and was like, you suck. Like, no, why would we like that person? Yeah, so the villain, DK, he's just like, doesn't do anything wrong the whole movie. He's just like, dude. And he calls him an outsider. That's it. And I guess. And he's just like, stop talking to my girlfriend. Stop crashing cars. Leave me alone. Like, just leave me alone. And yeah, like his uncle is this big bad mafia man. But that's not his fault. Like, how is he supposed to... What was he supposed to do about that? Like, oh my gosh, Dad, why did you have me? Why was I born? Like, what can he do? He's like, I don't know how old he is. They never say, but I'm assuming he's not in school. It's just a mess. And so I kind of felt bad for him. Like, he's just trying to... He even, like, walked away. Like, he wasn't even gonna... When he first met this Texas boy, he wasn't even going to fight him or race him or anything. Like, everything was instigated by our so-called hero for a girl who, like, just wasn't even interested in talking to him and literally told him, like, you should leave. This isn't your scene. Like, it really is exhausting. So he, yes, okay. Oh, I forgot to mention, he's very, like, inconsiderate and kind of, like, just impolite. Because this eye, by the way, I think, I was worried about the lashes, but I think it's turning out, like, one of my favorite. Okay, so, wait, what did I just do? Okay. He's with Hans at, like, some model party or something, and there's these girls kissing because, I mean, like, they're into each other. I don't know if they're in love, but they're just minding their own business, making out. And he just stands there across from them staring. Like, are you kidding me? Like, leave these people alone. Like, they're not there for your entertainment. They're not a TV show. Like, don't be so rude. You're in public. Like, just ew. Don't be such a perv. And Hans, like, literally has to grab him. So yeah, just all around. Do you think DK would do that? Or do you think he would just be like, and move on with his life? Like, he literally was walking, stopped, and stared. Like, what? I get that he's supposed to be a teenager, but I just feel like most of us can handle ourselves better than that. It's embarrassing. Like, I'm not rooting for that guy. It's embarrassing. Yeah, he's just... And I didn't even ever see him try to understand the language or anything. He's just out there acting like, how dare this country exist and not, like, do it... Like, why do I have to be here? Blah. As if he's not living every weeb's dream. Just, like, a free home in Japan. With a dad who's, like, doesn't ever pay attention. But yeah, he runs away from that setup. How dare my dad have rules? And then he goes to live with Hans. But, like... That's rude. Like, Hans is super nice, so he lets him stay, but I feel like most employers would be like, why are you here? You can't live here. Okay, so then things escalate outside of him because the mafia finds out, you know, Hans is stealing. That's what they do. And he tries to he kind of just involves himself in this business. Like, this is between Hans and the mafia, and unfortunately DK has to take care of it because it's his uncle's business. So like, this is like where he does get a little villainous, you know. And he sees that his Australian girlfriend is there, and she's been stolen by this American. Like, I feel so sorry for him. Like, why? Like, everything was fine, then this American comes in, steals his girlfriend. He's already upset because his mafia uncle was like, how did you not notice that Hans was stealing from you? And by the way, like, I can't root for Hans either in this situation, because DK says, like, why'd you do this? Like, I put my reputation on the line for you. I vouched for you. Why are you stealing from me? And I'm not in the mafia, but you know, I've watched The Godfather. I've watched like various true crimes. Like, I understand that when you vouch for someone, you're really like risking it all for them. Like, it's like if I like recommend you for a position at my job, like, you better do a good job, you know? You better not be like coming in late and stealing stuff, or else it makes me look bad. And looking bad when you're in the mafia is like a dangerous business. So I kind of felt really bad for him that Hans did that to him, and Hans is just like, this is what we do. Like, no, it's not. This isn't Running with Dom Toretto where you're stealing DVD players and like flipping them for a 20% profit. This is the mafia, and you can't just short people, and you know that. And it was kind of mean to betray this boy's trust like that. Like, I don't think he's in high school, but he's dating a high schooler, so I think he's still kind of young. I really hope that their age difference is only like 3 years, and he's 21 and he's not like 30 or something. But anyway, that's never addressed. But I felt bad for him. So you're going through all that. You're having a tumultuous day. Your uncle might kill you. And then you see your girlfriend has left you for this guy. This guy who disrespected you and has been hitting on her from day one. And it's not even nice. It's rude to everyone. Like, come on. That's infuriating. So he gets a little villainy here. Like, this is his first kind of like really bad deed. He points a gun at Hans, but again, Hans, come on. I don't feel bad for him. I just recognize that murder is probably not right, but it's also his job. So, you know, I'm not going to hold it against him. And chaos ensues. And then Texas, I don't know anyone's name. I'm sorry. I don't think it matters. Like, you know who I'm talking about. So, 55-year-old Texas boy, he hops in a car for some reason, even though this fight has like literally nothing to do with him. And for some reason, the girl goes too. I don't know. And they have like a high-speed chase, and Hans blows up. And like, watching that scene, I don't see how they're bringing him back in Fast 9. I'll just have to see that for myself. It's very like, remember in X-Men The Last Stand, and then we all collectively decided that movie sucked, and they just made a new X-Men and Professor X, and everyone was all alive again? It was like, that's what I'm getting from Fast 9 with Hans. So anyway, he blows up, everyone's traumatized, and then for some reason, the boy, Texas, he decides, you know what I'm going to do? I'm just going to bring all my problems back to my dad. You know, the super friendly guy, the war veteran that I disrespected and then ran away from. I'm going to involve him in this. So he brings the girl home, and obviously DK follows them. And now this poor dad who's just trying to live his life has like a mafia member pointing guns in his like front alley. And now he has to point a gun, and he's like, oh my God, this is ridiculous. And you gotta go. And then Texas boy is like, no, it's my mess. which was the best. It's the best part. Yes. I'm sorry. I don't, his accent, I feel like it's fake. I don't know, but he really leaned into it in like the worst way, like the weirdest way. It just didn't seem right coming from him. So he's like, yeah, you know what? Yeah. No, I'm not going to leave. I'm still going to disobey you, even though you just literally saved my life. And the dad is like, oh my God. So then he decides, like, to go to the mafia den. I don't even know how this works. And then he tells the uncle, like, listen, I'm really wise now. I watched my friend blow up, so I've grown up a lot. I'm really mature. And blah, blah, blah. Like, I think me and your nephew have embarrassed ourselves, and we should race about it. And again, what did DK even do? How did he embarrass himself? He didn't do anything. He was just minding his business. Like, he got robbed and he fixed it. Like, who is this American who just figured out what the mafia is 2 seconds ago? Who is he to come in and be like, we really embarrassed ourselves and blah, 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 blah. Like, what? I hate it. I feel so bad for DK, and I hate this boy. I think we all do. Like, I feel like, because even the first time I watched this movie when I was younger, I was like, I don't really care what happens to him. Like, his love story is stupid. He sucks at driving. He's, sorry to say, not very cute to me. He's not fun to look at. And he is also dumb. Dumb and confident. A dangerous combination, that is. So, yeah, so he walks in, finished another eye. I am on a roll. That one's cute, too. This one's a big one right here. So not only does he presume to say that him and DK have both embarrassed themselves when in reality, he embarrassed himself and DK did nothing. He does that. He also doesn't take a hint because the Australian girl was like, okay, I'm just going to go with DK. It's not like she was really forced. She just like decided. But he's acting like, oh my God, if I win this race, I win her back. Like, she's not, I just don't feel like she's interested. So not only all that, but then he says the loser has to leave town. What? Let me draw these eyelashes and let that sink in. Loser has to leave town. He comes to this country, doesn't learn Japanese, skips school, blows up cars, damages property, gets people killed, damages tires, general disregard for the culture. And then he says this Japanese person needs to leave so that he can stay. So that he can stay. You have to leave where you live and grew up because I want to stay here. Major colonizer vibes. Like, it couldn't just be like loser has to like pay the winner back or like loser has to stop pointing guns at people. It couldn't just be something reasonable like that. It had to be like loser has to get out. Or he could have even said like, you know, if I lose, I'll leave. And if you lose, stop terrorizing people. Quit the mafia. I don't know. Like, obviously that's not allowed because it's his mafia. It's his family. Would you tell Tony Soprano he has to leave New Jersey or wherever he lives? No, you wouldn't. You wouldn't. You wouldn't. It's dumb. It's so dumb. But everyone's like, yeah, okay. And poor DK is like, what? Why? Poor DK. It's not fair what happens to him. Like, what? His whole life is being ruined by this jerk criminal child man. And then he has to race him and he loses. Like, it's so sad. And they really don't, like, I don't really know what happens to him. If I were him, I wouldn't leave. Why should I leave my house? You leave. And then he, like, doesn't get to be Drift King anymore. Like, it's so unfair. It's, like, so unfair. Like, drifting seems hard, and this guy just came in and, like, mastered it in 15 minutes, and he gets to be the king. Like, what kind of monarchy is this? Like, doesn't experience count for anything? Like, your ruling power is just, oh, it's so unfair. So then and everyone's like, oh my god, the Drift King. Like, they start calling him the Drift King. Ew. And I don't think he ever went back to school. Like, did he even, like, pay his dad back? Like, I'm sure I don't even know. What does that title even entail? They didn't really explain that at all. But, ugh, I was so annoyed. And then, at the end, Bow Wow's like, hey... Because now suddenly Bow Wow's like his messenger servant boy. And he's like, hey, there's a guy here who wants to race you. And he's like, not today. Like, oh, wow. So you can just, like, you have no obligation to your public. You just can deny races. Like, it's also rude. And he still does race because it turns out it's Vin Diesel. But I don't know. I don't even know why Tokyo Drift had to do this, like, Star Wars end before the beginning. Like, the second movie is really after after the sixth movie or whatever. It's weird. It's very weird. Overall, though, I love that movie. I think it's super fun. I love the music. I love a glimpse of Vin Diesel. I love Hans. But I was not rooting for any of them. I felt really bad for DK. He really did his best. Like, he was just trying to do a good job. He was nice to the Australian girl. I never saw him mistreat her, except for, I guess, when he, like, called her mom a slut or something. I don't think he ever, like, hit her or, like, was... Other than that comment, I never heard him say anything, like, mean or degrading to her. You know who I did hear say something kind of degrading to her was literally the hero of the film. Where do you come from? Nobody wants to hear that question. Like, what do you expect me to say? A swamp? Like, a zoo? I'm a human person. Like, gross. Leave me alone. Yeah, DK, I don't even know. I just feel so bad for him. He thought he had a friend in Hans. Oh, and... like, his other friend blew up. Like, his friend, he lost two friends that day. He lost Hans, and he lost his weird, violent friend with the orange hair. Like, he had to deal with all that, and then everything else. Like, make a movie from his point of view, because I really feel bad for him. And honestly, like, if both of them were to go to America, you know that DK, the original true DK... I can't remember his name either. He would have fit in better with Dom's crew than this Texas person. Because he's a team player. He does a good job. He respects people of different ethnicities. And he's a sharp dresser. Like, this boy was just always wearing either his school uniform or, like, a t-shirt. And he would walk up to Dom Toretto and be like, where do you come from? Mm-mm. I was not a fan. So let me finish this last eye. I think this is like the fourth eye that I'm doing. So I'm making good progress here right now. I love doing the highlight in the eye. I think that might be my favorite part. It's just so pretty. So that was rooting for the villain. Tokyo Drift edition. Side note, something I always appreciate about car movies, and this movie had a moment like this, is where they're looking at like a beat up car, and they're like, oh man, this is our only car, and it's so beat up, and then they open the hood, and they look at the engine. And I don't know anything really about cars, so, like, when I'm looking at the engine that they're looking at, I have no idea, like, is that good? It's bad? I don't know. But the movies, they always play like an upbeat, like, oh yeah, they play that. So you know, like, oh, it's a good engine. And this movie had that moment big time. So I appreciated that. That was a fun moment too. Like, oh, okay, good. They have a chance. This is a good engine. All right. There's that eye. Let me give you like a better peek. Okay, so there's some of the eyes I did today. Really like this one, really like this one. And there's just one more down there, and there's just two more up here. So that's exciting. I'm gonna leave the pencil lines too, I think. I kind of like the dimension that they add. And that's it. I'll talk to you guys later.